Bonjour. Welcome to our sixth year of One School, One Book, where we read a book together as a whole school, pre-K through grade 5. Here is the book this year. It is called A Whole New Ballgame by Phil Bildner, which is a perfect book for us right now with our Warriors doing such a great job at basketball. All right, so today we are going to read chapters 1 and 2, and please follow along with me. Fifth grade. I bolted toward the chain link fence. Red shot for the gate. In full stride, I slipped my backpack down my shoulders, and as soon as Red grabbed the metal post and spun into the schoolyard, I flung the bag over the fence. Red caught it by the straps just before it touched the grass. Booyah! I hammered fist the air. Bam! He held it up every time, Mason Irving. Mason Irving, that's what Red calls me. Everyone else calls me by my nickname, Rip. I held out my fist. Red gave me a pound. At 7:25 every morning, I meet Red at the end of his driveway, and we walk to Reese Jones Elementary, Orleans Lane to Key Place to Niagara Drive. Then we get to the RJE. I toss my bag. Red catches it, and we zigzag through the portals, the second and third grade classrooms, and head for the new playground. It's our walk to school routine. Red likes routines. But this morning wasn't like other mornings because today was the first day of fifth grade. Fifth grade! At RJE, all the fifth graders have Miss Hamburger. And yes, that's her real name. And no, I'm not going to make any jokes because if you go to RJE, you've heard them all. Miss Hamburger's been teaching fifth grade ever since RJE opened 25 years ago. I hope Miss Hamburger lets us sit at the same table, Red said. Me too. I heard she assigned seats at the beginning of the year. I grabbed the granola bar from my jeans pocket, snapped off a piece, and flipped it to Red. I hope Miss Hamburger lets us bring snacks to class, he said. I hope she lets us keep water bottles at our table. We reached the walkway to the playground. You ready? I said. Ready as I'll ever be, Mason Irving. I shook out my hair and brushed back the locks above my ears. On your mark, get set, go! We whipped our bags onto the benches and tore across the sand toward the jungle gym. We speed walked the balance beam and then split up. Red darted for the climbing wall. I went for the monkey bars. I swung across the rungs, two at a time, the steps to the upper deck, and waited for Red. Then we dove for the spiral slide. I went down first. Booyah! I shouted. Bam! Red followed. Obstacle coursing the jungle gym is another part of our walk to school routine, our favorite part. We scooped up our bags, and as we left the playground, we tapped the wooden posts with the solar lights. 2 summers ago, when the community built the playground, Red and I helped put in those posts. I pulled the granola bar wrapper from my pocket and crumpled it tight. Irving with the crossover dribble, I said, pretending to announce the play-by-play. I made a move for the garbage. He stutter steps towards the key, breaks right, shoots, nothing but the bottom of the can. Oh, what a move by Rip. We're playing basketball, Red sang in the intro song from Xbox. We love that basketball. Basketball. Not only was today the first day of fifth grade, but it was also the first day of fifth grade basketball program. Red and I were playing hoops together for the first time. Until now, Red hadn't been allowed to play hoops at school. We turned onto the sidewalk in front of the school and headed up the circular drive. Like always, we timed our arrival perfectly, reaching the doors just as the first buses pulled up and the first bikers and scooter riders pulled into the wrecks. Red likes being on time. He does better when he's on time. Where's Miss Darling? He asked, tightening his fists into knots. He shook them next to his eyes. Where's Miss Walden? I looked around. I don't know. The principal, Miss Darling, yes, that's her real name, too, also stood between the double doors, saying good morning and telling kids, take off your hats when you enter the building. Miss Walden, the parent coordinator, also sat at the desk under the announcement monitor in the main hall, but not today. We strutted down the K1 hallway, fifth graders strut, especially down the K1 hallway, and then headed up the stairs by the bathroom. The K1 hallway staircase is the only staircase Red uses. On the second floor, we passed the library and sped up as we got closer to room 208, Miss Hamburger's room. You ready? I asked. Ready as I'll ever be. Mason Irving. When I reached the doorway, I stopped dead in my tracks. The person standing in front of the classroom was not Miss Hamburger. All right, chapter 2. Mr. Acevedo. A man stood at the front of room 208. He looked like a cross between the barista at Perky's, the coffee shop my mom always complains about because it's so expensive, even though she stops there every morning, and the bassist from Elephant Sponges, this band I saw on YouTube. The man had long, dark hair piercing up and down both ears and braided leather bracelets. I checked Red. His shoulder brushed against mine, and he turtled his neck like he was hiding. He tapped his thigh, pinky thumb, pinky thumb, pinky thumb, pinky thumb, real fast. When Red's nervous, he pinky thumbs his leg. You okay? I said softly. Where's Miss Hamburger? I don't know. Is Miss Hamburger still our teacher? Where's Miss Hamburger? We'll find out. The man motioned for us to come in. The desks were arranged in tables, 4 seats at each, and since Red and I were the first to arrive, we had dibs. I tapped him on the arm and led us up to the front table on the far side. We sat down with our backs to the window. Red likes to face the door. Who is that? He hunched forward. Not sure. Where's Miss Hamburger? His knees bounced against the underside of his desk. I placed my hand on his leg. I can touch Red, so can a few grown-ups, but Red doesn't really like it when people touch him. The other kids began to arrive. Melissa dropped her volleyball and checked the number on the door 3 times before walking in. Brian backpedaled to the table in front of the cubbies. Diego swung the tie strings on his knit hat, raised his grab-and-go breakfast bag, and then headed for a seat in the middle of the room. Melissa, Brian, Diego, I know all the kids. All the 5th graders know one another. How could we not? We've been together our entire time at RJE. But we're the last 1 class grade. All the lower grades have 3 or 4 classes, which is why the portables now take up half the schoolyard. The man at the front of the room didn't say a word until Avery rolled in. Do you have enough room? He said. He took a step forward. He took a step toward her wheelchair and then backed up. She curled her lip. Who are you? Where do you prefer to sit? Prefer? Are you the teacher or something? I'll explain once everyone's here. Whatever, dude. She wheeled next to Melissa, pulled out the chair, and parked. I think that's about everyone, the man said. He glanced at the clock by the door and then reached for the iPad in the pen tray of the board. Day 1, and all 26 of you are ready to go before the bell. Outstanding. He tucked his hair behind his ear and looked at the table. I'm Mr. Acevedo, he said, tapping his chest. I'm going to be your homeroom and language arts ELA teacher this year. Starting today, we'll be spending the first 120 minutes of every school day together. Well, except for today. We have early dismissal today, so we'll get 60 minutes today. Suddenly, Mr. Acevedo leaped into the air and kicked together the heels of his high tops. But on the way down, his toe caught the back of Olivia's chair, and he stumbled into the shelf of the red binders next to the board. OMG, Olivia shouted. Sick, Danny said. Red grabbed my shoulder and ducked behind me. Some kids laughed. Mr. Acevedo steadied the shelf and then rushed over to Olivia. Are you okay? Did I kick you? She shook her head. Phew, Mr. Acevedo cringed. Awkward. I'll say, Trinity said. More kids laughed. Slowly, Red sat back up, but his knees still knocked against his desk. Thank you, Mr. Acevedo waved his iPad like a performer waving to the audience. Thank you very much. With his other hand, he brushed some hair off his face. This is my very first day as a teacher, so I wanted to do something memorable. But now I'm thinking I probably should have practiced that jump once or twice before giving a whirl in front of everyone. I'll say, Trinity said again. More kids laughed. Well, look at this way, Mr. Acevedo shrugged. I guarantee you'll never forget the first moment of 5th grade when your new teacher nearly face planted in front of the class. He swiped his screen, took a moment to read, and then placed the iPad back on the tray. Before we get started, he said, let's get some of the basics out of the way. First, I'm not a big fan of homework. You won't be getting much from me. That's what I'm talking about, Jordan said, shaking his thumb and index finger at Brian across the table. I like this guy already. A few kids clapped. Second, Mr. Acevedo said, holding up 2 fingers. I'm not a big fan of worksheets. In fact, I hate worksheets. Now, I know we're not supposed to use the H word here at RJE, but when it comes to worksheets, I make an exception. There will be no worksheets in this classroom. He picked up a poster tube from the floor on the board, sidestepped to the door, and peeked into the hallway. Then he charged across the room and leaped onto his desk, which was next to our table. I hereby declare our classroom a NWZ. He raised the tube and posed like Thor. This room is a no worksheet zone. He pried off the end, shook out the bright orange paper, and unrolled it. No worksheet zone. I'll hang this later, he said. He hopped down. What else? He placed the poster and tube on his desk and headed back to the front of the room. Oh, you see these jeans? He brushed his legs. I'll be wearing them pretty much every day. So if you want to make fun of that, go right ahead. Be rest assured, I do change my shirt, socks, and underwear daily. I shower and brush my teeth regularly. I expect you to do the same. You will do the same. Our classroom will not be pungent, and if you don't know what pungent means, look it up. I'm pretty sure I knew what pungent meant. Mom calls my sneakers pungent when I wear them without socks and over the summer, and they stink up the whole room. I checked Red. His feet were flat on the floor, his eyes fixed on Mr. Acevedo. Phew, I gasped. Mr. Acevedo headed for his desk again. I say we take a break. I'm a big fan of breaks. We learn more efficiently when we take breaks. So for the next 15 minutes, I feel free to do what you want, what would you like. Read, write, draw, talk with your classmates, find your cubbies, put your belongings away. Just remember, you're in 5th grade now. You know how to behave in the classroom. We don't have to go over that. I was glad he wasn't going to lecture us. I got enough of that at home. Mr. Acevedo opened his top desk drawer and pulled out a book. For the next 15 minutes, I'm reading. He reached back to the drawer, pulled out another sign. This one hung around his neck, reading, "Do not disturb." I hope you enjoy the book this year.